All right, this is take 2 for this video today. I had a sip of coffee or two. I went on a 5-minute long tirade full of F-bombs and everything else you can imagine. You know, if you watch this channel, you can imagine. Um, and I decided to hit the stop button and take a breath and think about this again. Um, I'm just gonna push upload when I'm done shooting this video. I'll put the thumbnail on it. I think I'm just gonna go back to doing some quick updates. I don't know what to do anymore. That's the problem. Um, I got 3 things I can talk about if my mind can stay sane enough for the next 15 minutes to an hour. I can fill it in. Um, I'm irritated because the bottom line is I woke up today. I took the day off from the bakery. I'm down to 2 days a week because I have a project that I can fill in the time with. I would say 2 days ago, I put in a lot of time and got a lot done. Yesterday was not a complete bust, but because of the insanity and nonsense going on at this tiny house, of which if you watched a couple of videos ago, you'll know more details than what I'm going to get into right now. Um, everything's I'm going to try not to swear. I really am, because it's once I say that first F bomb, it's just going to go downhill from there because I'm extremely angry right now, to the point where I can't say some things right now. Hopefully a month or two from now, I'll be able to tell you. I'll be able to do a video that goes in a lot more detail about what's going on right now. But I'll just give you a little taste. 2 days ago, they were here working on the hot water yet again, because it just, what's the date today? It is April 11th, and I still don't have hot water. But I did have hot water for about 24 hours. Took a hot shower. I took a hot shower on the afternoon a few days ago, whatever day it was that they had it working. And I took a shower in the morning. And then, once again, ice cold water. Why, may you ask? Because the landlord, I'm not going to call him I'm going to call him a slumlord. Because the slumlord, who has to have the cheapest possible fix for anything that he does here. Just look at the ceiling, okay? Those are picket fence boards. It's not. That's what my ceiling is made out of, and it's a horrible fucking job. If you look at it up close, it's even worse than this. The only thing positive I can say about it is that he put something there to keep all the insulation foam from raining down all over the tiny house. Every morning when I wake up, it was starting to look like it snowed in here. And so this, half-ass job with the ceiling is enough to keep it from looking like that every morning. So, whatever. Okay, so moving on. Most of you know what's going on in the general sense, but the hot water turned ice cold again. So what's going on? He replaced the electric on-demand water heater with a natural gas on-demand water heater. But he hooked up a 20-pound propane tank from a gas grill to the natural gas water heater, and he had his buddies, his contractors, that, you know, basically some dudes you pick up in the Home Depot parking lot, let's just leave it at that, drill some holes in the regulator to get the gas to flow better. And like, I didn't even really like, I thought it was a propane water heater. And when I saw how they installed this thing and how it was all set up, I just rolled my eyes and I'm like, oh my fucking god, this is so fucking crazy. Here we go with the swear words, but I'm gonna try. I'm trying to not, trying to keep my cool right now. So I have so basically right now this morning I have to wait until he picks up he picks up the people from the Home Depot parking lot and brings them over and has them do some other rig job on this thing. And I'm hoping that the tiny house doesn't explode. But now I'm waiting. Now I'm sitting on a ticking time bomb, basically. Now the thing is hooked up outside. It's mounted to a wall outside. It's not inside. Heaven forbid they did that. It's outside, but even if if a propane tank explodes, it's still gonna, the chances are the debris in the blast zone will be towards the neighbor's house, and possibly the wall of the tiny house will serve as a deflection, because usually when something like that explodes, it's going to take the easiest path that it has. So, it could blow a hole in the side of the tiny house, but the wall of the tiny house might actually deflect the explosion and cause everything to end up in the neighbor's yard. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. And like I said, there's more to the story. At this point, you're going to have to wait to hear the rest, because I don't even know how this is going to end up. But a lot of people have contacted me personally one-on-one to talk about this, and so some of you know more. But that's what's going on right now. And I'm like beside myself with this whole situation, not just this part of it. There's like 6 more parts to what's going on with this place that, I'm not going to get into just yet. But today, this week is a bust. Last week was a bust, a complete and total loss. This week, complete and total loss in terms of my time, my sanity, my ability to get anything done that's productive. It's all shot out the window. It's even worse. I've reduced my bakery days to 2 days a week from 3, and now everything's even worse and more chaotic and more stressful, and I have even less focus than I did when I was doing it 3 days a week. Like, nothing's working out for me here in Houston, like to the point where I even said in the last video that I tried to record that right now I feel like I'd be better off being homeless in Jamestown still than I am here. I don't think that's that's not, I'm just trying to think, other than the weather, like, what am I doing here in this fucking shithole state? I hate Texas. I truly hate living in Texas. I honestly, I don't know. I'm trying not to be too judgmental, because when you're broke and when your life is completely out of, so, when you're in my position right now, there's nowhere I can go that's going to be a good place to be. Because nobody's going to give you a chance to get back on your feet after something like this. Nobody You're a leper. You're just a complete washed up piece of shit that nobody wants anything to do with. I mean, my own family. I'll never speak to anybody in my own family again. And that's not necessarily my choice. Nobody in my entire family wants anything to do with me after this. I was, everybody I was friends with before this happened turned their back as soon as it happened. People who would say the same things that got me in trouble, or worse, talk to the hand. We don't want anything to do with him anymore. So, like, I mean, I literally know child molesters whose wives are going to be waiting at the front gate when they get out of prison. Now, I don't know if that says something about the wives, or, you know what I mean? I mean, I think that's a little messed up on its own. But how do you think that makes me feel when my entire family, everybody I've ever known in my life, all my friends, everybody's turned their back on me except for like maybe one or two people? And all because of this. Nobody wants to hire me. I can't get a job at Burger King. I can't get a job at McDonald's. I can't get a job at anywhere. I've applied to almost 600 jobs and I get one offer for a $10 an hour job at a bakery. Not even full time. No benefits, nothing. I just moved to an area where there's 200 places to work. Easily 200 businesses within walking distance of where I live right now. Not a single one. I keep applying and applying and applying. Not a single one will give me the time of day or even a call. I did have an interview. I'll say it. It was at GameStop, and it was 18 miles south of here because I applied to the location that was a 5-minute walk from where I'm sitting. But they said that location is fully staffed, but we have another one. And the first thing they asked me when I went on the job interview is, how do you feel about armed robbery? You think you can handle someone coming in at gunpoint and robbing you at gunpoint? And, you know, back in the day, I probably wouldn't have said this at the job interview, but if I'm being robbed at gunpoint, I'm gonna have a gun of my own and I'm gonna shoot back. As soon as that motherfucker's not looking, he's getting shot in the head. Because I used to have a carry concealed permit and I always carried at least one gun. Sometimes two. Sometimes I'd carry one in a pocket holster and one in my ankle. I had a 45 and a 380 compact. Both of them were, I had the smallest 45 that money could buy at the time, the Springfield XDS, and with the small magazine, the 5-round magazine, that thing fits in your pocket in a pocket holster. Don't just throw a fucking gun in your pocket, especially a gun like that doesn't have a safety switch. It has a split trigger safety. And then I had a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380 that I would either carry in a pocket holster, or if I was only carrying that gun, I'd carry that in a pocket holster, a front pocket holster, or I would put it in an ankle holster. I tried the belt. I tried the inside the waistband. I couldn't do it. Neither gun I could carry inside the waist. I'm too fat. Fat people can't carry inside the waistband. And behind my back, that wasn't working either because of the front pocket was the best way. And there's two styles of front pocket holsters. One where the grip is outside the pocket and you can basically just reach down and grab it, and then I would just wear a long shirt that covers up my pocket so that nobody would see it. Or you can get holsters that tuck the gun down into your pocket, but then you got to fish it out. Like, you're not going to be quick on the draw in that kind of situation. That's a disadvantage of that. But it's highly concealed. At the same time, you can, it looks like you have a wallet in your pocket if anybody would even notice. Um, so in a situation like that, back in the day, if I were working at GameStop in the ghetto and somebody decided to rob the place at gunpoint, there's gonna be, I'm not gonna try and draw while the gun's pointed at me and the guy's making eye contact. But if he turns around, or if he, you know, if the person with the gun drops his concentration, he's not leaving the store. He's leaving in a bag. So, but that's not an option for me anymore. So, yeah, I would have lost my job. Places like that, they'll hire you, but if you actually, if you dropped an armed robber while working at a job like that, the company's going to fire you on the spot for having a gun at work. No idea. Something's going on. Um, okay, I think. All right, I think someone just brought the garbage can back. Anyway, finding a job is difficult when you have a felony on your when you have a criminal record with a felony. And when you combine that with the fact that you can, for the rest of my life, anytime you type my name into Google, what are you going to get? 500 pages of news articles and videos and stories about what happened. You're not in none of the, my side of the story isn't going to show up in the first 100 pages of results. You're just going to get, you're going to get what you're just going to get their side of the story. There's two sides to the story, number one. And number two, I don't know. But here's the deal. Like if I can just like shut off the negativity for a minute and think about like whatever positive things have come up in the last week. Um, I'm going to try and come up with 10 because I'm sure they're there. And these are kind of like 10 things I can be grateful for. Instead of being angry all day, I have every right to be angry beyond. Like, I'm in a blind rage right now in terms of the level of anger that I feel inside about this whole situation. Um, it's taking everything I have to not. You ever see the movie Falling Down? It's taken everything I have to not fall down. Put it that way. Um, that dude in that movie finally just got stuck in one too many traffic jams, and that was the end of it. That was the end of it. I'm done. Um, so there's one thing to be grateful for. When you ride a bicycle everywhere, you don't get stuck in traffic jams. Um, in fact, the last day I rode my bike was Monday, and there were two notable traffic jams that I was able to ride right through without stopping. To the point, they were so long that the people who were honking at me and getting mad at me for riding past them in the traffic jam were never able to catch back up to me to honk at me and scream at me again because they were too far behind and I was going too fast. Um, and I was going fast. I was on the faster bicycle and I was moving. Strava told me Strava told me I broke my record for a 10K, a 20K, and 30K all in the same ride, on that bike, which I don't believe that that's true in terms of all time, but I guess it's true since I started recording all of my rides sometime in, I believe it was whatever year it was 2014, I believe, when I did my 1,000 miles of adventure goal. And it was because I had a GPS unit that could track everything I did. Because it was on, I had a wrist mounted, wristwatch size GPS unit plus the phone. And between the two devices, I could track every bike ride, every hike. I could track everything I did. And so since 2014, it's the fastest 10K, 20K, and 30K. So there's something to be thankful for right there, my good health. So the fact that I have a bicycle, two bicycles that I can use, and my good health, they're two things to be thankful for right there. If I had to walk everywhere, when I walked everywhere in Jamestown, that really limited my mobility, something fierce. It was insane because every time I had to go on a job interview, most of the time it was in an area called Lakewood, which is a 5 mile walk from Jamestown. 5 mile walk each way. So every time I had to go to a job interview, and even if I were to get a job down there, it would have been 10 miles of walking every single time. Now, the homeless shelter had bicycles, but they would only let you borrow one if it was to go to and from a job. Fuck going to a job interview, you stupid homeless piece of shit. But if you get the job, you can borrow a bicycle. So, fine, okay. I am sure that if I had asked, hey, I've got a job interview, can I borrow a bicycle? I don't think they would have said no. I even offered to help maintain and keep the bikes in good shape, and that got a little weird, and I just backed off and said, never mind. But they did have a guy there who worked there who also worked in bicycle shops and knew what he was doing, so whatever. They had a couple of nice old school bikes that were in really good shape, I could tell. But anyway, bicycle, it's good. It's a good thing. This job at the bakery right now, they're very flexible with me. Here's number 3. I changed my schedule from 3 days to 2 days a week, and they just did it. They didn't, no questions asked. They didn't. I did talk to the manager about some of the stuff going on. They knew something was going on, and they kept prying a little bit at a time. And finally, I was like, all right, you want to hear the whole story about what's going on here? And they're like, yeah. And so when I told them, they're just like, whoa. And so they get it. They totally get the stress that this is putting me under. And so, but they're cool with me about it. It's not affecting my ability to work. It's affecting the number of days I can work, the distance, and the wear and tear on my body from riding the bike so much, and all that is having an effect. So, but they're flexible with me. If I could find a place to live that was closer, problem is, my best friend lives in the richest neighborhood of all of Houston. So there's no affordable place to live anywhere near that bakery. Unfortunately, for me to get a job, I don't know. I could step up my game even harder to try and find a better job or a different job or a job closer to here. To give up in a place this big with this many things going on, I don't think is a good idea. Um, if you had heard my video that I literally got 5 minutes into recording a video for today, and I had to hit the stop button because it was just like I was off the rails. I was seriously off the rails for a minute. I just had to take a 5 minute, have a little sip of coffee, which I'm going to do right now. Here we go. All right. Coffee makes the world a better place. Leave it at that. Um, so that's like 3 things to be thankful for. 4. I have 2 really good clients right now. 2 really good clients who, one of them found me because of these videos, and he knows what's going on. I would say I'm like halfway done with that project, and then everything has gotten, like, everything is just grinding on me right now. But and the other client was one that I met in the park at Jamestown because I was sitting on a park bench filming these videos every day. And you know the story if you've watched the videos, but his dog came up to me one day, and I was petting the dog, and we started having a conversation, and it turned into a pretty good friendship that I don't consider him to be a client. I consider him to be a friend, and I'm doing work for him. Same with the other client. They're both, and so, like, that's a 4th thing to be thankful for is, sometimes I just feel like it, like, do you see the calmness when I talk about that and the freelance work? And so I'm going to dig into that a little bit. I might not finish the 10 things to be thankful for. Let's see what else. The weather in Houston is great. That's number 5. I mean, it gets cold here and there, but the weather is great. Y'all say I'm going to hate the heat. I'm not. Here's the thing, I'll trade places with you. Go up and live in Jamestown, New York for a whole winter. A whole winter, and that's from August 1st to June 30th. And tell me how much you hate the summer in Houston after you just went through an 11-month winter. So, you're not going to complain about the heat after going through something like that, believe me. So you will be thankful for it. Today is supposed to be 30% humidity, 25% humidity maybe, mid 80s. Can't beat it. Sun, no rain, no clouds. Is probably the perfect day to go on a 72-mile bike ride. But I can't go until our buddies from the Home Depot parking lot come and try and prevent the tiny house from exploding today. And I just can't leave. I can't leave and go do that. So I already have everything's all scheduled out. And if for some reason noon comes around and they're still not finished, then I'm going to cancel and do this on Sunday instead, or someday next week. Let's see, so that's 5 things. What else? My best friend, I'm thankful for them and him and his wife for letting me stay with them for it was like 4.5 months. Have you ever had a house guest for 4.5 months? That's tiring. I can't think of a time that I ever had a house guest for 4.5 months. If my best friend lived with me for 4.5 months, you know what I mean? Like, I would absolutely do that for somebody if I had a good friend in need, and I was in a position to do that. I wouldn't even think about it. It would be a natural, yeah, come and stay here. Um, but you know, his wife barely knew me and still was willing to do that. And they have a family, and it's not like we're in college anymore. We'll just leave it that way. And so that was a really good, I'm thankful for that because it helped me get to the next level. um Come on, give me four more things. I'm thankful that I'm not in prison anymore. I'm thankful that even though I'm on federal probation, they really haven't been um, harsh with me. They've been, some of the people in the probation department have been helpful. When I got stranded in Bridgeport, Connecticut, it was a probation officer that helped me get unstranded. There were other people, the probation officer in Buffalo helped me out a little bit by just pointing me in the right direction when um, I needed to do certain things. Didn't do anything for me, but pointed me in the right direction. Uh, Probation officer in Pittsburgh greased the skids and created the movement that allowed me to come down here to Houston when nobody else wanted to let me do it. So I'm going to be thankful for something else, but I'm not really going to say, well, I got two more things to be thankful for, to be honest, and I don't want to say what they are. Definitely, well, I've got something going on next Wednesday. I got a meeting set up, and that kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm looking forward to that. And then there's another thing that I'm not gonna. There's a reason I'm going on a 72-mile bike ride today, and there's some other things in the mix there, and we're just gonna leave it at that. I'm thankful for it. Now, going back to the bakery slash freelance work, I'm gonna upload this video. I have recorded at least one video every day for the last Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. For the last week. I mean, I've got probably 15 video segments that are at least, half an hour here or whatever there. They may never see the light of day because they're all over the place, and everything has been so chaotic that I think I just need to go back to the record a video real quick and hit the upload button, stick a thumbnail on it, and be done. I can't spend time moving the files into Adobe Premiere, doing editing, then hitting the export button, then doing the upload. I don't have time for all of that. I have time to sit here in a chair and talk because I wouldn't be doing anything else anyway. It's early in the morning. I got up at 7:30. I started shooting this at about 8:15, and it's closing in on 9. I'm going to try and get something productive done but I have to pack a bicycle for this bike ride today. I don't have to. The nice thing about it is I don't have to take everything that I would normally take. Clothing wise, I really don't need. I might take an extra shirt in case I'm like completely soaked, but the humidity is going to be low. So even though it's going to be in the 80s today, a wicking synthetic shirt should dry pretty fast. But okay, we're 34 minutes in, and I want to talk about one subject that we've got these AI bots. Siri. Some people have been having conversations with Siri for a long time. That's like the first AI bot that people have been familiar with, but now every company has them. Google's got Gemini, Microsoft's got one. I don't even know what it's called. The only Microsoft one that I use is an image generator that helps me when I'm looking for ideas for a logo or something like that. Um, let's see. You've got Grok, Twitter bot X. That's Elon Musk's AI. You got ChatGPT. You've got Facebook's got their own. DuckDuckGo has their own AI bot, and even Gab has an AI bot now. So out of all of them, I think the one that's the most advanced in terms of being able to ask it random things and get really well thought out answers is Grok. Now, it's really no different than doing a Google search. When you do a Google search, that's artificial intelligence as well. And you can classify Google as AI going back years. Um, but they're just you're asking it a question, but it's giving you results that you have to go research yourself to find the answer to your question. So the AI tool takes it a step further. So if you have a specific question about something, you can get some pretty detailed answers without having to do a Google search and read the stuff yourself. Now, should you believe everything that the AI bot spits back at you? No. But it's a tool. Think of it, it's a tool in your toolbox. So I started a conversation with Grok about, honestly, it started out about like, how do I develop a social media plan to sell my photography? Like that was then it turned directions, and this conversation went on for hours. But it basically became I started talking about, I don't even know like how to explain the evolution or how to even explain the conversation, but it was the same conversation I'm having with you guys. I said, okay, I told Grok at one point, I have a goal to have 6 streams of income that each make 6 figures. And Grok immediately said, well, here's some ideas, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, here are the 6 that I currently have: the bakery, the freelance, 2 different photography streams, YouTube, and a chicken bucket. And that's 6. That's 6 ways that I've made money in the last year. And I'm not counting social services because that's out of the picture, and I'm not getting back on the dole. If I end up homeless again, then I guess whatever. But right now, no. Um, so then we started analyzing my schedule, and I told Grok about how I basically, it was like talking to a person almost. It's so weird, but I was talking about the pros and cons of each income stream, and Grok is giving me information that maybe I'm not thinking about. But when Grok analyzed everything I'm doing, Grok said there's absolutely no way that you can continue to meet your goal unless you get rid of this bakery job because it's absolutely destroying you. That's what the AI bot told me. That it's impossible to function like a normal person if you have to ride a bicycle 50 miles every time you go to an 8-hour shift and you're making less than $100. You can't even survive on that. And this isn't me blaming the people I work for or anything. I'm not this person who's sitting here going, McDonald's won't pay me $20 an hour, so I can't survive. My statement is, I know what I signed up for when I started working there. I had alternate reasons for doing it. I had a probation officer breathing down my neck hard Go get a job. Any job. Go get a job. Even though I had income streams, no, you have to go get a job. You have to go get a paycheck that I can see. And so that was my main motivation, but I would have been looking for a job like that anyway because I'm living at my friend's house. I'm not just going to sit on my duff, but I would have been able to get more done on the freelance if it wasn't for this other thing. And Grok 100% agrees with me. In fact, Grok analyzed all 6 of my income streams and gave me like a document's worth of information about each one, right? And Grok said, you need to get rid of that bakery job and put all your focus on your freelance, because here's how much money you can make with your freelance work. He's showing me you could make anywhere from 150 to 200,000 a year if you can ramp up this freelance work to where your potential lies. Bakery, the most you're ever going to make's like 25K. And the time that you're going to have to put in, you could make 150 to 200,000 a year putting in less time for your freelance work than the bakery is going to pay you if you work 40 hours a week for an entire year, and especially when you include having to ride the bicycle, and you're never going to be able to even afford a car if you do that. So you're going to be completely trapped and stuck, and you're never going to be able to get out of the hole that you're in. Grok is literally like, you need to put all your focus into that freelance work. Number 3, Grok says, your Etsy store, you need to put more focus and time there. Out of all 6 of the income streams, priority number 1 is freelance. Priority number 2 is the Etsy store, the photography store, selling fine art prints. And Grok gave me all kinds of like, here's a plan. Here's how to get your stuff noticed. Here's how to increase your sales. We'll dig deeper into that as you move forward. But Grok was like, I got you. I'm gonna give you some good information and where to go and what to do to help increase your sales on your photography store at shop.litgood.com. Grok even said start with about 10 to 15 images. I've already got 20 up there. So I've got a good start. And Grok, see, the thing is, like, Grok was telling me a bunch of things I already know and giving me suggestions that I already know. My biggest problem is time management. Grok agrees that my biggest problem is managing my time because this bakery job is taking all of my time and it's giving me almost no return. And yet I have all these very lucrative things sitting on my plate that I can't put any time into because I'm busy spending most of my time to make less than $100 a day and completely destroying myself physically on top of that in order to do it. And it's all just to make a probation officer happy. And the probation officer has given me the green light to continue with the freelance, but I just have to be able to back up that I'm putting this much time into it. And I have to back up what I'm doing and prove that I'm, I think they're concerned more with, obviously you've got a probation court order that says you must do this, you must do that, you must do this other thing. And he's going to go by the letter of what that says. It says you must work 30 hours a week in a job, it has to be a job that's legal. You can't be like hustling bricks on the street for, 20, 30 hours a week. You have to have a job. A legal job. You can't be doing anything illegal. But I think there's nothing in there that says you can't run your own business. You're just going to have to prove that you're putting in the time. I have timesheet. I put in over 72 hours a week in productive things. What I can say, but I can only show the probation officer my paycheck stub and invoices. There's a lot of that 72 hours that I spend looking for a job, shuffling paperwork around, doing all these productive things that aren't punching a time clock and working at a job, but things that have to be done. If you run your own business, you're working so many hours a week, not getting paid just to keep your. If I have to build my own website for my own business, I'm not getting paid for that. That's not billable time. You see what I'm saying? So it's a tricky situation, but even Grok is telling me that's what you have to do. Keep a timesheet. If they breathe down your neck, push back and say, here's how much time I've spent to make this much money doing freelance, and here's how much time I have to spend to make nothing working at a bakery. What's better for my bottom line? What's going to keep me out of prison is, what's going to keep me from recidivism is going to be making enough money to survive and to get out of poverty. So Grok is just kind of reinforcing things that I've already known, but giving me more details and more ideas and more things to think about. So priority wise, freelance is number 1. Photography sales is number 2. YouTube is number 3. Grok says, according to Grok's analysis, having a YouTube channel with a certain, with the 1,200 followers I have is a good start. And obviously the income from that is not sustainable when you're only making $100 every other month or every 6 months, or it's completely unpredictable from the ad revenue. But Grok says that the potential to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year off of that is high enough that it should be third on my list of the 6. Why? Because Grok says it could take 2 to 3 years to get to the level where you're actually earning enough money from YouTube to, make it count as part of your income. Right now, I make enough money every few months that I can pay for my Adobe subscription, or, it can cover a bill, but it doesn't provide me the means to pay rent. You know what I'm saying? So, Google also says number 4 is, what were the other 3? So we got, out of the ones that are left, YouTube, photo set. So we had stock photo sales, chicken bucket, and there's one other. Oh my goodness, I'm so burned out. So the freelance was number 1. Number 2 was the photography sales. Number 3 was YouTube. The ones that are left are the stock photos, the chicken bucket, but what was the other one? I don't want to hit the stop button and then have to splice the videos together, because that takes even more of my time away from me today. I just listed out all 6. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But it was a good thing that I got interrupted like that. They came to poke around with this. They came to poke around with it some more. So I guess I'm sitting on a ticking time bomb. I don't know when this thing's going to explode, but I guess I can take a hot shower for a minute. I don't know. But they're now going to run a natural gas pipe from the house to the unit and hook up the proper. I'm not even going to speculate anymore. I'm not. At this point, I don't know what to think. Anyway, It's good that I got interrupted, but bad that I'm going to have to splice the videos now because I made a cut and I have to use a separate app for that and then export a file, and it like takes a bunch of extra time. Then I got to upload it to YouTube. Even if I do it all on my phone, which there's an app called InShot that I use. I have been using for a long time, and it has a free version. In order to get rid of the little logo that they put in the corner of the video, you can watch a couple of ads, and then it'll remove the video. And then if you get the paid version, it's a pretty sweet linear video editing tool. It's pretty powerful for for a video editing tool on your phone. Out of all the ones that I've tinkered with, when I've tinkered with a lot of them since this, since the homeless thing started, it's definitely not as good as Adobe Premiere or After Effects or Apple's Final Cut. But, those are professional level video editing tools for, your MacBook or your laptop or whatever computer that you happen to be sitting in front of. But to do quick video edits, and you can do some pretty powerful stuff with InShot, and it's pretty cool. But I'm going to have to finish this video, like I said. Then I'm going to have to open up an InShot file, put the two videos together. Even if I do a simple cut from one to the next, I have to export the video file and then upload the exported video file to YouTube. And it's all stuff that I can, it's in the background. I don't have to sit here in front of the phone watching a bar go across the screen while it's exporting and while it's updating and all that stuff. But it's all time out of my day. But now, because they're not going to monkey around with the gas anymore today, and it's a little after 9 a.m. right now, I can probably get out the door 10:30 to go on this 72-mile bike ride, and I might be able to get everything done an hour ahead of schedule. Maybe. I have to meet somebody, so if I have to text, it's all just, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird combination of, I'm not looking forward to this, but I'm not looking forward to this, but once I'm on the bicycle, my attitude, everything, like, things change, and I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. Like, I get into that. It's a flip-flop, and right now I'm dreading it. I don't want to do it. I would much rather be doing something I'm getting paid for. I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off. That is the mildest way that I can explain how I truly feel right now. Nobody can, even Grok. Like, okay, we're going to go back to that. Grok, I've been talking about all this stuff with Grok yesterday. The 6 streams of income, we're going to go back to that in a second, because I got interrupted. But it was a good thing that I got interrupted, because I was able to think of the thing that I couldn't think of. But Grok is like looking at my whole situation for me. All of it. Like, things I can't say right. I wish I could say everything right now. But even Grok was like, there's no way a human being can go through what you're going through and function like a normal human being. It's impossible. And, Grok is like, here's what you need to do. Focus on this, this, and this. And take baby steps. And, you're in crisis mode right now. You're literally in crisis mode. You're literally like on the edge of a nervous breakdown. And there's no reason to be ashamed of that, because Grok even said there's very few people in this world who could even do what you're doing right now and be dealing with it as good as you're dealing with it right now. between, the insane amount of bicycling, because you have to survive, the bakery job, all that stuff. So anyway, let's go back to the 6 streams of income. Grok said to prioritize it this way. Number 1, your freelance work, because that has the potential to make the most money for the least number of hours, the highest dollars per hour. The pros are just that. It's a lucrative business. It can get more lucrative over time. Every time you finish a project for somebody, that goes into your portfolio and you can attract new business. Your criminal record doesn't matter. All of these things, some people might look you up. You might have a prospect. I might have a deal that I'm trying to close, and then they go and Google me and go, oh, never mind, we don't want to deal with him. But I'm not going after, I'm not the baker I'm not the Republican baker going around trying to make gay wedding cakes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go to the climate change summit and say, do you guys need a new website? I literally had a client ask me if I would do a climate change website. I'm going to say this was in 2006, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. So you're talking almost 20 years ago, I had a client reach out to me and ask me if I would do a climate change website. And I said, fuck no. And I didn't get sued. Isn't that the same as being a Republican baker who won't bake a gay wedding cake? Being the conservative web designer who won't make a climate change website? Go find, there are plenty of liberal website designers out there. Somebody is going to be thrilled to make a climate change website. I'm not that guy. Go find somebody else. So I would turn, that's what I'm getting at. So not every client is for me, and I'm not going to be the guy for every client. In fact, I want to develop relationships and friendships with people who I like to do work for. And that's one of the perks of being in business for yourself. Talking about this number 1 priority even more, I used to work with a woman who was like a life coach. Her name's Beth Martins. She's got a YouTube channel. She's got a Rumble channel. She's been out there for a very long time. She's great. We're very different personality-wise. We believe the same things, but personality-wise, she's a lot more peaceful and calm and tranquil than me. I'm the opposite. But she's a great person. I was working with her for a while, both as a customer and a client. I was helping her do a logo design. She was helping me do some stuff back and forth. It was good. It was nice to get to know her. But one of the things that she told me is that when the COVID nonsense started, she lost a lot of clients. She lost more than almost half of her clients because of her stance on the vaccines and on the COVID shots and the masks and all of the stuff, the shutdowns, the social distancing and all that stuff. She lost a lot of clients. But she said that her persistence paid off because of her stance, she attracted twice as many new clients that she lost, all because of her stance on everything. People came to her because of her unwillingness to back down from what she believed or cater to people like that. And so she lost people, but she attracted people that were more in line with her. And so it's the same thing with my business. I will drive people away who won't want to work with me because of my political views, because of my criminal record, because of everything like that. But it will attract, if I stick to my guns and I don't back down, it will attract like-minded people and people who actually want to work with me, partly because of that and partly because I have the skills and the knowledge to do these kinds of things. And so, and the clients are going to be more comfortable working with someone like me than going to the Democrat Design Emporium, the ad agency full of Democrats and people working on the climate change websites. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's doing the Clinton Foundation website right now. They're getting ready to scam another country. They got all the money out of Haiti that they could get. They're gonna go scam some other third world country, and they need a Democrat web designer to do the website for it. So it's it's the same deal. So Grok says number one is your web design and freelance and digital marketing business. Pour all your focus there. Not all of it, not 100%, but that's your primary focus. Primary, out of all 6 streams of income. We're going to get into number 2. Number 2, your photography, print photography, your fine art photography prints that are on shop.litgood.com and other places. You need to put a bigger focus on that. And Grok gave me some suggestions on what to do next and, baby steps basically. And we can get into more detailed Grok's not the only source of information. What I'm going to use it for is to help me organize my thoughts and to look for holes in my thinking or things that I'm not also thinking of myself. Suggestions that I might not have thought of myself, pitfalls and traps that I might have not thought of myself. So number 2 is the photography sales. Freelance web design, photography sales. Number 3, YouTube. The reason why Grok suggested YouTube is because of the long-term potential. That up front, it might take 2 to 3 years before you can get beyond that $100 every 6 months. I got $100 payout in September. I got $100 payout in March. I might get another one this month from last month, but then this month slowed down. Traffic and clicks and everything have slowed down. Partly because of what's going on in the tiny house and the amount of time that I have. But either way, it might take 2 months to get another payout from them. So, but it's not enough. It's enough money to cover some bills. It's enough money to cover some of my small ancillary business related expenses like the Zoom account, Figma, Adobe subscription and different, Miro and other software platforms that I have to pay a monthly fee for in order to do my freelance work. So it's not a waste of time, but the amount Grok even says, and I agree, the amount of time that it takes to do it is not worth it. But in 3 years, you might be able to build a big enough audience that the income generated from the YouTube ads and stuff like that is a lucrative part of your income, and it could account, for a significant portion of your income at that point. Let's see. So that was 3. Number 4, there's 3 more left, and I know what all 3 of them are now. Number 4 was the bakery. Grok's suggestion is the same as what I've been talking about. Grok said you need to reduce the number of days per week that you work at the bakery so that you can focus on the freelance work. And Grok is like, here's where you have to focus your freelance. You have to get the 2 projects that still sit on the table finished ASAP, as quick as you possibly can, so that you can collect the payments that are due upon completion. The money that you'll get from that will be a nice pad in your bank account. It'll allow you to survive a little bit. And you're going to have 2 more projects for your portfolio, which I'll have 3 websites for my portfolio at that point. Plus, I have an existing portfolio that goes beyond that and goes back some years, and I have plenty of things to show people. But I can use these 3 projects to build a website a more focused website outlining what I'm doing now. So Grok suggested keep the bakery job, but reduce the days to 3 days a week. And I told Grok, I said, I did that already. And I just reduced it again to 2 days a week. And Grok turns around and says, oh, that's great. That's exactly what you need to do. So that you now have, and it even suggested stacking the days together, which I kind of did. I do Saturday and Monday now. Saturday is a good day for them because people, these kids don't like to work on Saturday. They want to have their weekends off. So have the old guy come in and work on Saturday because he don't care. And Monday's good for me because they like to have me come in and do the stock and lift all the heavy stuff. And when the deliveries come, they like to have the big strong man lift all the heavy stuff. So that's what they got me doing now on Monday. And so I'll do Saturday and Monday. But the thing is about that job is it's flexible enough. I could turn around if things just completely fell off the cliff with freelance. I could turn around and say, I need to work 5 days a week. Or I'll take whatever hours you can give me, and they'll probably give me 30 hours. That would be my guess. Depends on how busy they are. They might just give me 16 hours anyway. But then, give it to me in random shifts instead of focused in on what I asked for. So this is working. Grok even said I did the right thing by reducing it to 2 days a week because now I can focus on the freelance stuff. We're still in the first half of April. So those are the top 4 things to focus on. Number 5, stock photography. Grok was like, yeah, Grok even agreed with me that the amount of time it takes to do and the amount of return that you get is very out of proportion and not worth your time right now. And Grok said, Grok gave me some hard numbers, which were actually kind of nice to see. Like, you would need this many images in your library in order to make this much income, and it's possible. And if you have the images to push up there, but also when you factor in the rejection rate, if I upload 30 images to a stock photo agency, they might only accept 5. And the problem is the amount of work that you have to do for each image. Aside from the editing and creating the image file, that's a whole nother thing. But to upload the image, you have to upload the image. You have to give it a title. You have to give it a description. And you have to add a whole bunch of keywords. And you have to do a whole bunch of other stuff and tag the image and check off a bunch of boxes and fill out a form. It takes anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour per image. So if I did 30 of them and they take 15 minutes, let's say they take 10 minutes each times 30, right? I can do 6 per hour. So that's 5 hours of work to upload 30 images to a stock agency, and then they turn around and only accept 5 out of the 30, reject the other 25, and then out of those 5 that they accept, I make like 50 cents a month off of them. I make like 50 cents to $1 a month. But that's 5 images. So if I'm making 50 cents to $1 a month off of 5 images, multiply that by 5,000 images. That 50 cents to $1 a month becomes, hundreds of dollars per month. In some cases, thousands of dollars per month, depending on what the image is, how popular it is, things like that. But when I know people who have stock photo libraries of 500 images and they were getting a check for $300 every month for 500 images. So multiply that by 5,000 images, and you could be, you get into the thousands of images bracket to where you have Getty, which is iStock Photo, and other platforms. You have Adobe Stock, which is a popular one right now, and Shutterstock, which was just bought by Getty. So you basically have two big stock photo agencies out there, Adobe and Getty. And if you have 5,000 to 10,000 images on both platforms, you could stand to make thousands of dollars a month. But the amount of time to get that library up to 1,000 images, 5,000 images, 10,000 images. I have the images. I could go the rest of my life without shooting another photograph and never get all my photos up there. Good photos. Timeless photos that would sell. It's the same problem I have with Etsy. The editing and getting the image prepared is one part of the problem. Getting it into the store, and each photo that I add to Etsy takes anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour to get on the store. Filling out all the information. It's tedious and time consuming. Grok believes that there's way more income potential there than the stock photo stuff, which I agree. And when it's time for me to dig deeper into that, I'll be able to use the tools to get more insight as to. Grok will tell me, like, do this, do that, do the other thing, and here's all the references that I have for, like, here's all the different articles and tutorials, and there's YouTube videos, and here's people who are teaching you, like, how to get your stuff seen on Etsy. What's the best thing to do on Etsy? And you got to experiment a little bit. And I do have... I think there's some things I can do that I'm not doing there that would help me quite a bit. I'm just going to leave it at that. But it's a lot of work. And but the nice thing about that, Grok agrees, the print photo sales and stock photo sales are passive income. Once you have the product listed, you don't really have to touch it again. It automates itself. The only thing I have to do, if somebody buys a print on shop.litgood.com, I have to send an electronic file to a print lab, and they do a much better job than me printing out the print. They're handling it with white gloves on their hands so that there's no fingerprints. It's all professionally packaged and shipped, and it's shipped overnight. They do all the work. I upload a file, and they make the print and send it. And so for me, it's a little bit of work. I mean, it's not easy. Sometimes I have to wait. If it's an expensive print, I'll have to wait until Etsy deposits the money into my bank account, and then I can pay the lab to print it. If it's a small print, an 8x10, or if it's a photographic print and it's not a metal print and it's not one of the $2,000 wall-sized metal prints, then I don't have to wait for Etsy to drop the money in my bank account, which only takes 24 to 48 hours anyway. So I tell people it's going to take 10 days to get your print. It actually, most of the time, it's been taking 3. Somebody places the order, I order the print from the lab ships it out within a day or two. The person has it in their hands 3 days after they order it. And so that's good, but I haven't really sold that many on Etsy, and that's fine. But I know how to do it. I know the process now, so it's good. It's passive income, but it involves some work from me after the sale. Stock photography, I upload, I get the photos in the library. At that moment forward, the only thing I do is sit back and collect a check. I don't have to touch it ever again. They do all the work. I just get a check. I get a deposit in an account after so many, months or whatever. But the amount of money that you make is crap. you're going on volume. You're making up to $1 per sale. But multiply that by thousands of sales every month, and all of it. If you're making $1,000 a month off of that, that's good money. That's rent. I could pay rent with my photography just by people clicking and downloading off of Getty Images and Adobe stock photo sites. Those two are the big ones. There's a bunch more, but you don't make squat. You don't make much on the primary two unless you've got a huge library. So, okay, so these are the things. So that's 5 of the income streams. Number 6, Grok was like, your digital chicken bucket is, hit or miss. Donate.litgood.com has gotten me out of a jam. Grok was like, don't turn that off. Don't stop doing it. The best way to approach what you're doing there is, as you get more entrenched into your content development, possibly set up a subscription-based thing like people do on Patreon or Locals or YouTube subscriptions, or there's 20 other ways that people can do it, and offer things to people that they won't get unless they buy a subscription. And right now, I really don't feel like I have anything to offer that would be worth. I wouldn't want to pay. I wouldn't want you guys to pay me directly just to be able to watch a video like this. But what if I get into teaching Photoshop? What if I get into teaching software and things like that? Things that you can actually learn from. Maybe I'll do some videos and I'll say, for more in-depth knowledge on this subject, and down actual tutorials where I'm showing you how to do this, that, and the other thing, you can sign up for a subscription. Another subscription-based thing could be my photography. You could pay a monthly subscription fee, and I'll send you prints every month. That's another idea I have. A print of the month club, and it will be just some print. It'll be a print. And I would make it I could even have 3 different categories. The print of the month club, you pay a certain amount of money. It would be a discount over what it would cost on Etsy. I would have to do it that way to be good to my customers. Maybe I'll send you 3 prints a month for a certain fee, and you can frame them or do what you want with them, or maybe it's some postcards of the month. I don't know. That's a thought. But that was kind of what Grok was getting at when it came to the donate.litgood.com, the digital chicken bucket concept. Was kind of Grok was take that idea and expand it into something that people would pay a subscription for. That way you're not just collecting, you're not just shaking a bucket on the street corner, and you know what I mean, but you're giving them an offering and something in exchange. So those are the 6 streams of income that Grok told me to focus on, and in that order. And like I said, Grok said, keep the bakery job because that's a lifeline, and that's a life preserver. It's like you're floating around in the ocean right now. You need something to grab on to stay afloat. That is a good lifeline. But the harder you cling to the lifeline, the less likely you're going to be to get out of poverty. You're literally trapped in poverty right now. You can't get a car. You're sitting in a tiny house that's about to explode, and all these things are going on around it. And you're floundering right now. So Grok is here's a plan to get you to the end of the month. Here's your survival 101 plan. Then next month, let's focus on this, that, and the other thing and get you above surviving. From there, let's try to, this, that, and the other thing. And it's just, Grok is actually spitting out a schedule for me to follow. Monday morning, do this. 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's spitting out some, but it's obviously do what you want with this, but here's a starting point. Here's a starter kit. It's if you asked AI to build you a website, it'll give you a whole bunch of code in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and you can put that all together and you'll have a working website, but you're probably going to want to tweak it and customize it and change it around and, all that. So this is where I'm at right now. And it sucks. It sucks. But I don't have, and Grok knows that Friday is shot. Grok knows I've got to go on a 72-mile bike ride today, and there's nothing else that's going to get done, unfortunately. Nothing else will get done, and I'm burned out from it. But yeah, like I said, nothing else is going to get done today. Tomorrow's out because it's the bakery day. I got to ride 40 miles, work 8 hours, come back. Sunday, I'm going to be low energy, so it's going to be whatever you can do when you have no energy. Monday, another day at the bakery. Then I've got another 4 days to try again. But now with all this crazy stuff going on, those 4 days could get robbed. I could get robbed out of those 4 days because of all this nonsense that I'm dealing with right now. And so it's kind of like, well, part of one of those 4 days is gone already because of a meeting I have to attend. But it's a positive meeting. It's something that will turn into something good. There's going to come a day where I can say more. Right now, I'm not. So, but these are those are the 6 streams of income. And I even asked Grok, I'm like, what other ideas do you got? And Grok's like, well, with a criminal record, you don't have a shit, and you have a pretty much 0 chance of ever finding any kind of job. I applied for DoorDash yesterday. I got to the background check, and then I got the email saying, we need more time to look at your background check, which means you're not going to be a DoorDasher. I applied for some other thing, just one of these get paid to do menial tasks kind of a thing. And they're like, sorry, but thanks, but no thanks. I can't even get those kind of jobs where you make like 10 cents an hour doing crappy ass things, like, I'm not going to say answering surveys, but one of them was user testing for testing websites for usability. And the other one was just doing like odd jobs that a machine can't do yet. And both of those were like, thanks, but no. You can't even get that kind of a fucking job when you're me. Like, having a criminal record completely bars you from ever having a job again. And then you're told by the judge, if you don't go and get a job, we're going to put you back in prison. But guess what? Nobody's ever going to hire you for anything ever again. Oh, except for Dave's Killer Bread. That's what they always say. Oh, go work. Oh, Dave's Killer Bread hires ex-cons. Okay, so I got to move to fucking Oregon to go work for this fucking guy in his bakery in Oregon making Dave's Killer Bread, because Dave's Killer Bread's the only fucking company in the country that'll hire got someone with a criminal record. And it's like, I'm going to get 20 other fucking dumbass suggestions, like just go drive a semi-truck. That's the other one. And there's a bunch more that are going to come my way, but I don't care. I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to try to find something that works. If I go the rest of my life living in poverty and being on the knife's edge of homelessness, or end up homeless again, if I end up homeless again, I'm just going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Get me a bag of meth and a bottle of hooch, and I'm just going to fucking go all in. Because at that point, why the fuck bother? But for now, I'm just going to say peace out, and we'll talk again.